Hi, this is Warren Sprouse, and you're on the Bible Forum. We meet every Sunday night from 8 to 10 p.m. right here on the World Wide Web. I wanted to talk to you tonight primarily to men. You ladies can pay attention. I hope that it rings a bell in your heart and life too, that I'm not so far off the beam that it would be foolish. But I want to talk to you guys about the 8 things you're doing for women who are not your wife. Is it possible? Is it possible that you could be doing certain things for women every day, and these are important things that women appreciate, but you're not doing it for your wife? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. As time passes, as things happen, as stories unfold, and relationships take their hits, most couples can expect this mismatching that goes on, but not too many have any idea what it is, how it's working, or worse, how to resolve it. So let me take you through a little scenario and show you some of the things that you're doing, men, that cause problems in a relationship. One of the more important things, and this is for both husbands and wives, are the routines. Routines are going to happen. They're inevitable. When couples are aware that they are in a routine, at least they have an option. They have a chance to make it work. The other thing is assumptions. Newly married couples just love to do all these wonderful things for the other person, but after a while, the patterns, the routine sets in, and the assumptions become dominant. An assumption means that you know what would be nice to do for your spouse, and then you just assume, well, they don't really need it. Or you assume that doing it last week was sufficient for however. I told you once I loved you, and if it changes, I'll let you know. We need to cut through the assumptions and get down to the realities. The third thing has to do with the hits that marriages take, and all marriages take hits. There are rough patches. There are circumstances that pop up. Things you have done or not done. You know what your spouse needs, but you're not willing to do it for them. You maybe don't know what they need, and so you're not doing it. Or you've done some fairly foolish things. These are issues that plague all relationships, and it's largely why men start to take a back seat in terms of the relationship, because quite frankly, they're not as in tune to relationships as you ladies are. But they do understand, they do know some nice things that they can do for women, and they do them. They just don't do them for you. Like holding a door open. Does your husband hold a door open for you as you're going through it, getting in and out of the car, going into a building, church, things of that nature? Watch him. If he's out and about and there's a strange woman approaching the same door that he's about to go through, watch and see if he doesn't hold it open, step aside, and allow her to go through. He probably does that throughout the day. If he works in an office with women or in an environment with doors, he probably does that all day. Does he do that for you? Thanking you for the things you do that help, or the little services. Here's a cup of coffee, sweet. Oh, thank you. Not, oh, okay. It's easy to thank the lady who's at the checkout line, that's helping you get through it. The co-worker that did something nice, but a wife, well, she's supposed to do this, right? Pay attention to what your wife is doing for you and say something about it every once in a while. Once a year, it will shock her. There are decisions, choices that are made in a marriage. There are values and opinions that are held. And you may not always agree with your wife's choices or opinions. But if you are her husband, you need to take more effort and time to try to understand why she might be making those decisions. Think about some recent conversations with other women. Were you more likely to agree or disagree with them? Be honest. You probably are more gracious than you are with your own wife. Admiring your wife. When you're away from your wife, are you able to keep your eyes and your heart in check? When you see an attractive woman, are you more likely to look away or to look in places you really ought not to be looking? Those are unique answers for you and you alone. But think about it. Why don't you look at your wife that way? Why isn't she your standard? You see, if you made her your standard, your physical and emotional standard of what is beautiful, you might have an easier time when you're not around her. Number 5, when you speak, do you think first? When you're at work, you need to approach anybody, but in this case, a woman. Do you tend to think about the choice of words before you utter them? And not only that, do you choose the words more carefully during a conversation with other women, and then are very careless when it comes to your wife, saying things that are rude, unkind, short, not very pleasant or inviting, sometimes not very mature. Men do that sort of thing. Gentlemen, we need to be more mature as a husband, thinking before we speak to this lady who is the mother of your children and your life's mate, the one God has not only given you, but who is holding you accountable for a lot of what she is. And do you listen? Think about the last time you were with friends. Were you more likely to be rude and not really get involved in listening or get involved in conversations that were going on? Or were you listening intently so that you could be part of that group, part of that discussion? Well, you need to do that for your wife as well. She's part of your group. Make sure you are paying attention to her words, that you are responding to them and not just waiting for your turn to talk. And listen to the body language, to the words that are not being spoken. When she has something to say to you and you say something back to her that's rude or crude or short, and she just shuts down, and maybe she just says, okay, and she walks away. And you say, see that? She understood. No. You just killed something in her. And if you do that often enough, don't be surprised when the relationship sours or it just loses its glitz. Do you smile around your wife? You smile at work. You smile at co-workers. You smile at people who just walk by you in the hallway. Can you remember a time when you had a pleasant look on your face? Not a weird kind of a thing, but you purpose throughout the day to have a smile. Are you a salesman? How do you respond to people that you want to sell a product to? Do you treat them the way you treat your wife? It doesn't hurt to keep a smile on your face when you're in conversation with another person, especially your wife. And when she asks you, what are you smiling about? You just tell her it's because of how much you love her. She won't believe you. But if you do it consistently, she'll start to get the picture. And lastly, are you having fun? If you happen to be in a situation where you start running into the same woman day after day, week after week, you can start to get very comfortable with that woman. Even if you don't know her, it's just somebody you meet at the window buying coffee, but it's every day at the same time for 10 years. And it gets easy to say hello, to add a little something, ask a couple of questions. It's harmless. But it starts to matter if you're doing it for them and you're not doing it for your wife. A good marriage can handle a little bit of joking and teasing within reason. Have fun with your wife. See what that does. And doing these things for other women is not necessarily wrong, because we ought to all be more respectful of women. The issue is whether or not you're treating other women better than you're treating your wife. And if you are, she knows that. She knows she should be getting that kind of treatment. It should be coming to her first and foremost. Think about your wife. If she's working every day, if she's going to an office, if she's working around men, think about what's happening to her. Those other husbands are doing for her what you're doing for the girl in your office. It might be she's working for a man. She's a secretary or an executive assistant or something of that nature. And she just wants to do the very best job she can. She makes sure when she goes to work she looks nice. She makes sure when she's there that she anticipates what her boss might need and makes it available to him in a timely manner. She's efficient. She wants to do a good job. She smiles. She doesn't do things to antagonize him. Now think about how he responds to her. When he has an attractive woman, a pleasant woman in his company, in his office, in his world, who's there to help him. Yeah, you know what he's thinking. You need to compensate for that. It is a woman's natural inclination to want to be a help. Not just to her husband, to her boss, but to anybody and everybody. They like doing that. Be careful. God gave you that woman. He made you responsible for her, spiritually, emotionally, and every other way. You need to love her before you go around loving other people or other women. And you do know how to do it because you've been doing it. You just haven't been doing it with her.